Hey guys, welcome back to My Life with Depression and Anxiety. So sorry it's been I think a month since my last video. Yeah, it's been a really long time. But if you've been watching my That Movie Nerd channel, you'll understand why. I've been doing a lot. I actually went to Kineticon a weekend or two ago, which was a ton of fun. I have so many videos on there, and I think they're all great, so check them out. But this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Last month, when I saw a little movie, maybe you've heard of it, called Inside Out. And Inside Out is a very good Pixar movie, and it really resonated with me about how emotions work in the mind. And for those of you who don't know, for the two of you who don't know, Inside Out is the latest Pixar movie that explores what happens inside your mind. It explores the mind of a young girl named Riley and shows how these different emotions help work Riley's mind, or how the mind works with these different emotions. And the 5 main emotions are joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger. And it's a wonderful movie. I reviewed it on my That Movie Nerd channel. If you haven't seen it already, please check it out. It really is a wonderful, wonderful movie with a great story and great characters. But that's not what I want to talk about in this video. What I want to talk about with this video is how this movie is helping a whole bunch of people really understand how the mind works, particularly autistic kids and people in school right now, young kids. And it's really helping and making a difference to help people understand exactly what emotions are and how they affect you in this really creative, really fun way. And I love that. I'm reading all these different articles about that, and I thought, well, how can you use this movie to explain to someone what depression and anxiety is? And that's what I want to make this video about. This video is about, for those who know Inside Out, who have seen the movie and understand their version of how the mind works, I'm going to explain exactly what someone with depression in that movie, how his or her mind would work, essentially. So hopefully that can give a better understanding, and I think it'd be fun to talk about, to see if Pixar did a film about depression using this method. So that's what I want to talk about. Now, before we go into the depression side, we have to recap what we learned from Inside Out, what we learned from the movie. Essentially, every moment in your life and every moment in time is a memory, and each emotion, whichever one runs that memory or is in control of your mind during that memory, turns it into whatever that emotion. So if sadness is running the mind, it'll be a sad memory. If joy is running the mind, it'll be a joy memory. If it's disgust, it's a disgusting memory, and so on. And as we also see in Inside Out, the emotions don't really know what the function of sadness is, and they don't want her to touch anything, but she does end up touching things, and of course they turn into sad memories. Now imagine the most hyper happy person you know. Basically what that person is has joy and control of their mind 24/7. If they're jumping around, if they're having a great time, essentially they have joy there in control. But now imagine the gloomiest person you know. That person would have sadness in control most of the time. And the angriest person you know, who's yelling all the time, that person probably has anger in control all the time. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking I'm going to say, well, if sadness must be in control of someone with depression all the time, that's just logic. But that's not exactly true. If you look inside the mind and you look Inside Out, essentially someone with depression or anxiety has dueling emotions that don't really know how to work as well as other people's emotions. The theme and the story of Inside Out is how to find the relevance of sadness in this young Riley's mind. And the whole point is all these emotions learning to work together and learning each function. With someone with depression or with someone with anxiety, the emotions don't really know how to work together. They do, but there is some complications with that. So imagine someone with depression one day wakes up and has joy and control. Essentially what would happen with someone with depression is that throughout the day, periodically, sadness would take control for whatever reason. Maybe joy's looking for a memory, or down, in the subconscious, whatever. And then if you have anxiety, you would have sadness and fear and control at the same time. And that's what causes depression and anxiety, according to Inside Out. With someone with anxiety or with someone with depression, sadness and fear are like second cousins. They're like brother and sister, essentially. It's very common for someone to have depression and to have anxiety at the same time. Now, another important thing to point out, which is what I said before, is that maybe joy or some of the other emotions are outside the mind or inside somewhere else and not at the control panel. So essentially, according to Inside Out, someone with depression, joy is on leave and has a lot of many tasks and gets lost a lot, leaving the other emotions to be in control, particularly sadness and fear. There's a brilliant scene in Inside Out where we see disgust or fear trying to be joy, but it's not exactly working. Disgust is trying to be joy and it turns into sarcasm, and fear is trying to be joy, but it just turns into, well, fear. And that scene is so pivotal because that's exactly what someone with depression is. It is someone with sadness or fear or both in control of their mind trying to be joy, but it's not working because they're not joy. If a character popped up in Inside Out who was depressed but trying to get through the day, essentially what's going on in their mind is that joy is on leave looking for something, and sadness is in control trying to be joy, but it's not exactly working. And as I've said in other videos, and as I hope people know by now, depression isn't just extreme sadness, it is a mental illness. There is something a little disconnected inside our minds, and with Inside Out, the best way to describe it is to just say that joy isn't around all the time as much as other people, and sadness can take control a lot of the time. But it's not as simple as sadness going, okay, I'm gonna have this person be sad. It's sadness and or fear trying to make this person happy, but it doesn't work, which is why you have people with depression that get really frustrated, or they get upset, or they just don't know how to handle things because they're trying to be joy. They're trying to be happy really hard. Like, they're really, really trying, but it's not working because joy's just not there at the moment. And that's not to say people with depression will never have joy at the control panel. No, when joy's back from collecting memories or organizing things or whatever, joy will be in the mind and everything can be correct. But just like the story in the movie, some random things probably happen in the minds of people with depression where joy is on leave or has to leave with other emotions, like maybe even anger, and you have the rest of the emotions trying to run this person's body and trying to run someone's mind. So when you're seeing someone that's suffering with depression and they're going through a depression mode, I think will be the easiest way for me to call it, because people with depression are not sad or depressed all the time. When you look at them, just imagine that their joy emotion is gone, and it could be a while before they come back. Depression works like any other body function, like if you get a lot of acne or whatever. When depression comes back, you go, oh, my depression's acting up again. And with Inside Out, the way to explain that is that, joy's gone again, and we don't know how long she's gonna be back. It could be a day, it could be an hour, it could be a month. For a lot of different people, that varies how long joy is gone. But up until that point, the other emotions are in control and they're trying to be joy and trying to replace that joy that the mind suddenly lost because of whatever story. Maybe she's looking for Bing Bong, who knows? So when you see someone really struggling to be happy, imagine that's what's going on inside their mind. And when you imagine that, that's what you need to help them with. You understand that they're just not capable of feeling joy right now because joy's not at the control panel. They're able to feel all these other emotions, but they're not able to feel happy. And when you're helping someone with that, just keep that in mind, so that when you do say things like, or think things like, why aren't they happy, why aren't they happy, that emotion's gone. Like, it's in another part of the brain and it's not back yet. Depression and anxiety is not a choice. We don't choose to be sad, or we don't choose to be fearful at random times. With anxiety, the simplest tasks may be fearful to us because fear's in control at that point. And again, joy and the other emotions are gone. Even leaving the house can be a dreadful experience with someone with anxiety because fear is in control and joy and these other emotions are gone. And that can cause some distraught memories. And sometimes people with depression think back to happy memories and it changes into sad. And as Inside Out shows us, memories can change, and sometimes that's not such a bad thing. So in the end, when you see someone with depression or you see someone with anxiety and you're wondering why aren't they happy, that's just not an option for them right now. Many people still think it's an option to feel happy or it's an option to feel sad, but with Inside Out and the way the mind works, you see that that's not exactly true. When joy is gone, you can't easily get her back. She has to go through, well, a movie journey to get back. And that's essentially what's going on with someone who is in their depression state, is that their mind is having an Inside Out like movie right now. And keeping that in mind, I think a lot of people can really help people with depression. They can help people with anxiety, and they can understand it a lot better. That's how I would explain it using Inside Out. And the last thing I want to say, if anyone from Pixar or Pete Docter or anyone is watching this video, thank you so much for making that movie. That was a brilliant film, and it's become very special to me because of the way you portrayed the mind, how easier it is for me to explain depression and what I have to go through to people. Thank you so much for that. And for the rest of you who haven't seen Inside Out, please see it. It's a great movie. It's still in theaters. Don't miss it. It's a really great film. And for those of you watching this video, please hit subscribe and share my videos to people. The more awareness of depression, the better it gets for a lot of people. And that's the point of these videos. Once again, I'll be monitoring the comments that I get. This is a free zone. If you want to say anything you want, I will make sure trolls are not here, and I will make sure that you can say what you want without being ridiculed. This is a free space of the internet, and I want everyone to be able to speak whatever they feel comfortable saying about their own mental illness or their own experiences. And that's all I have to say about depression according to Inside Out. I still am thinking about Bing Bong, and that's all I have to say. So I will see you next week with a new video about depression. Take care.